Hi, welcome to Boomerworks. Boomerworks empowers and transition professionals who are 50 years of age and older and help them make the shift to freelance and business ownership as an alternative to W-2 employment. My name is Angela Heath. I am your trainer for this evening and also the president of TKC Incorporated. Today we are going to be talking about getting inside of you and how you can repurpose those wonderful W2 skills. Now, before I start the actual teaching, there is a topic that we must address, and that is mindset, the way you think about what you can do and what you can offer. The reason this is critically important for you, think about it. If you've been doing the same type of work, working in the same industry, and for some of you, the same company, for 10, 20, maybe even 30 years, you have a particular way of thinking about work and about what you bring to the table. Your mindset needs to be expanded. If you are going to repurpose your skills, you've got to think differently, because you are more than just the sum of what you've been paid to do recently, or even what that job description said about you. You're more than that. So you've got to shift your mindset to know your value and to be bold enough to present all of you to the potential marketplace. Don't get pigeonholed. So, everything starts with self-assessment, right? So that's where we start with this session. And when I talk about self-assessment, I know you've done a lot of this already. You've looked at your skills and you've probably played around with your resume so many times, right? But I'm talking about you, the entire you, the 360 view of you. So it's not just the skills that applied, for the last position you had, but it's the skills that you've had your entire life. So I want you to think back to an earlier time. And I want you to think about the things that people told you you were great at doing. Everybody used to tell you you were great at doing something. And I want you to think about all of those things that you've done that you never even got paid for, but you did them very, very well. And then, of course, I also want you to think about the skills that you've acquired along the way and the certificates and the training that you have taken. So start with the assessment part to that. And it's two parts. It's what you've done, and that's really just a brain dump of what you've done, all of the skills that you have used, all of the talents that you have, the passion that you feel. And then how do you do it? And that really is the passion part. Because just because you can do something doesn't mean that you want to do something. And if you're going to go through the effort of repurposing your skill set, then you want to make sure you're doing something that you enjoy. So this is an easy way you can do that. Just take out a sheet of paper, put a line down the middle. In one column, I want you to list everything, from the past and as well as the present, every skill you have. I don't care how small it may seem to you or how insignificant, write it all down. And then in that next column, I want you to write love it or hate it or just okay. So that you'll be able to see the skills that you love, the skills that you hate. Scratch those off the list. You don't want to repurpose anything doing something that you hate. And the things that are okay. Now, you can use those things that are okay, that you're really good at doing. You can use those to help you earn some money in the meantime while you're actually working toward the thing that you're more interested in. Does that make sense? So just 2 columns. What are you good at? And then how do you feel about it? So another part of this assessment piece that I think is really critical for you is to really begin to pick apart those particular skills that you've listed and really get to the outcome of what you can do with that skill. I'm going to give you a couple examples. And this is just a shortened version of a process that I use with my clients. The shortened version is, what can you sell? What can you create? What can you teach? And what can you simplify? So you take each one of those skills and you run it through those 4 filters. So let me just think of an example. Say you're a writer, for example. What can you sell as a writer? Well, of course, you can sell a blog post, you can sell articles, you can sell, just writing skills in general, whatever they need you to write about. You can sell a book. If you can write a book, and you can sell a book, and that will help increase some of your thought leadership, maybe for other things that you want to do. What can you create? Well, you can create not just writing, but get into your secret sauce. You can write fabulous sales copy. So that is a particular area of writing that you can sell. Or perhaps you can write actual digital products. Lots of digital marketers need writers to develop their products. They have the vision, but they can't write. What can you teach? Most obviously, you can teach writing skills. If you're also a good editor, you can teach editing skills. You can do that in person. You can do that online very easily. There are many tools out there to help you. What can you simplify? If you are a writer, you can simplify technology. You can take technical information, maybe even medical information, and you can write it for a consumer audience. If you speak Spanish, which is a great language to have right now, you can even write in Spanish or English. There's a big market for that right now. So you see what I mean? You just run it through these various filters, these lenses, so that you can actually take that skill and add your secret sauce to it. Let's think of another one. Let's see. What about website development? Certainly, if you can create a website, you can sell a website. So you can sell websites, but you can bundle that, and you can also sell domain names and hosting packages to your clients. They like to be able to go one place and get everything. You can create websites, but again, to get to your secret sauce, if you're a web developer and your secret sauce is that you are also really good at graphic design, or you're really good at the visual pieces of a website, then you might want to specialize in websites for artists. Or you may want to specialize in websites for authors. You can get a very particular niche where you can bring in something else that you do. Like if you are a computer person, you could actually specialize in developing websites for people in technology. You want to bring your own flavor to it. So as teaching, you can teach other people how to develop websites in a systematic way so that there is not as complicated. You can break that down and do some teaching. And then you can simplify that whole process of trying to figure out what should you do when it's time to get a website. You can develop a process that will simplify the entire thing for your customers. So those are all of the things that you can do once you sort of take those skills and you pull them apart and you say, what do I add to this skill that differentiates me from someone else? And how do I use this skill to solve a problem for my particular audience? So once you know that, what can you do with it? You know, with technology today, the sky is really the limit. I'm going to just address just two areas because there's so many possibilities. It would not even be possible to address them in such a short video. But the first thing that most people go to, because it's the easiest thing, is to go to consulting or freelancing. So that way you can take your current skill set and you can offer what you've already done for years to various people. You can stay in your same industry or you can go to a different industry. Consulting is probably the easiest way to do gig work. You always start at home. I tell people if you didn't leave your company on bad terms, maybe they laid you off. You might have to drop your pride, but go back to that company and say, hey, you know what I can do? Do you have any opportunities for part-time work or any kind of gig work, contract work? You can also stay within your industry because most of the time you know the industry, you know where to go, you know the heavy hitters, you know the trade associations and the nonprofit groups that surround the industry. And you can go there because you know what they look for and offer your services. You also know the companies that are in that industry that you can begin to network with and see if you can get contracts that way. I like to tell people going outside of your industry, you will be surprised at what you can bring to them that's like easy for you, but they don't have it in their industry. I'll give you an example from my past. Remember the days when pharmaceutical reps used to go into physicians' offices and they would buy their lunch and they would come with their presentation kit and leave samples behind. You can't do that anymore. But I used that same model and I took that into the doctor's offices around a disease, around epilepsy. And I developed for their outreach people, which would be synonymous to sales in the pharmaceutical industry, I developed for them a whole sales kit and presentation that was modeled from the pharmaceutical industry. But with this nonprofit, they had never seen anything like it, and they thought it was a really great idea. And they got their outreach people into the offices of doctors, and they got their message across. So I love to take things from one industry to the next, and you can do the same thing. So all the skills and talents that you have, they will transfer over to different industries. So think about that when you're consulting. And other thing I wanted to share with you in terms of how do you get started, take a look at your online opportunities. If you go to the Boomerworks website, you will see a whole list of online opportunities that you can pursue. So you can take your skills, fill out a profile, and offer them for a fee. Those are just two of the ways that you can get started. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I'd like you to discuss. Number one, I want you to actually take the time to do a quick assessment of what you might be able to offer in the marketplace. List everything down, highlight what you love, and scratch out what you don't want to do anymore. Number two, what I want you to discuss. I want you to pair up with someone else, if possible, and I want you to give them your list of skills and you take theirs. And I want that person to give you some thoughts on what they think might be possible for you. Sometimes we don't see the possibilities because we're just too close to the issue. That'll be a fun exercise for you. You'll be surprised with some of the ideas that it will spark. And then finally, number three, I want you to talk about what is holding you back. If you can identify what you can offer in the marketplace and you have your secret sauce available, what is going to hold you back? I want you to discuss that and share that with Boomerworks so that we can develop something to help you get past that barrier. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as I always tell people, happy hustle. Bye.